Hi everyone, it's Essie and I'm joining a YouTube hop for the lovely Rebecca who has reached 500 YouTube followers, and I'm scrap lifting one of Rebecca's layouts. I've chosen this one which she created for pear tree cut files, and I'm also going to use a pear tree cut file for my layout, and that's my version there. So let's see how I created this. I've got my cut file, I've got my photograph, and I've got some mixed media scrapbook 12 by 12. This is the Vicky Beaton paper, and I've marked where roughly the position where I want the cut file to sit so that I can get my mixed media in the right place. I'm using some distress inks and I've chosen 4 colours, but actually I end up actually only using 2. I've got Scattered Straw and Victorian Velvet, and I'm using an ink duster, and I start off applying the ink straight from my craft mat, but I'm not getting a strong enough colour, so I add some water and that gives me more colour and a more softer blend on my cardstock. Now using the pink, and I'm just adding the colour to my background to create the effect that I want. I just keep going and keep adding until I'm happy with the result. Just thought I had some stray bristles there probably. Just using the cut file to kind of get a gauge on how it's looking, and I'm happy with that. So once that's dry, I've got a Vicky Beaton stencil here, and I'm going to add some texture paste. I'm using Ranger texture paste. This is one of my favourites. I find it's quite moussey, but I struggle with some texture pastes that are quite runny. I struggle to use them without getting seepage, but I really like this one because it's a bit firmer and I find it easier to use. It dries quite quickly as well, which is good because I'm not very patient when waiting for things to dry. So I'm applying that through this stencil with my spatula. I added a bit of washi tape to my stencil there just to be on the safe side to keep it in place. And I'm going to lift the stencil in a moment and then move it over and apply to the other side of the cardstock over that coloured background. And now I've done that on both sides and my texture paste is dry, I'm preparing my photograph to fit behind the photo frame. I'm just adding another layer of I've got some photographic paper there, but any scrap paper, I don't know why I added it onto photo paper, because I think force of habit really, because you're not going to see that, but I just added it to give me a slightly bigger area to work with, because I'm going to stick it to the back of that cut frame, and it was kind of not, I didn't have much spare around the edge to stick. So I've used a pencil through the cut file to draw where the photograph overlaps, because I don't want it to show through that floral. I've trimmed the photograph, I've popped some strips of foam on the back of the cut file and on the photograph, and then I can glue that in place. I'm using silicone glue gel. I find a wet glue works best over dried mixed media rather than double-sided tape. And plus I can wiggle it about a bit to get it in place when I've used glue. I'm really sorry, I have my camera not quite in the right position, so I'm just cropping the very bottom of my layout off. So you're not going to quite see all of what I work on, that little embellishment cluster down the bottom, but there is a still shot of it at the end, so you will see what I've done there, just with the few embellishments I add at the bottom. I'm using the Cocoa Vanilla Studios Daydream collection, and I've picked out the florals from the ephemera pack that I want to use, and I'm just adding them in, as you can see, in clusters around the photo frame, and that one down the bottom there, which you can't quite see, it'll be a surprise at the end. I'm using one of the words from the ephemera pack, and I've actually trimmed around the word. You can see the word sweet on the right there has got quite a white, quite a lot of white around it. And for this layout, I didn't want that look. So I've trimmed that down, and I'm actually doing the same with the flowers as well. I've already trimmed most of the flowers. I'm just doing this one now, just to take off some of that white. And gluing those in place again using the silicone glue gel. It's my favourite. You can get a bit of dimension and move it around before it's stuck, which for me, because I change my mind quite a lot about where I want things, is really handy. Just having a look at the leaves and the other little bits and pieces that I've pulled out to see what else I want on my page. Adding a little yellow heart there. And I've also got the sticker sheet. So that little word strip there is from the sticker sheet. And the rainbow that I've put in the cluster down and the bottom is also from the sticker sheet. The collection I bought these supplies from Lottie Loves Paper. I think there's still some of the Daydream collection in stock. Using another, I love word strips. Just using another little word strip across the top of that frame to balance out. This photograph is of one of my great nieces. It's a few years old now. I think it's 2017. I am going to just put some journaling on after I finish the layout to add, probably just put her name and the date. I love this photo. I've scrapped it before. Do any of you do that? Scrap photos more than once? The photographs I love, and are just photographs. This is from a photo shoot with a local photographer, and there's several in the series with her and her siblings, and they're just beautiful photos to scrap. So I have used this one before, but I don't mind that. I love the process of creating, and the art is kind of, for me, is one of the things I enjoy about scrapbooking as much as the finished result. And now, once I've put all of that together, I decide that I want to do some stamping in the middle of the photo frame. So there's nothing like doing things the most difficult way round, is there? But because I kind of don't want a perfect stamp, it doesn't really matter too much. I've got a script stamp there, and I'm just using it in my hand without an acrylic block so that I get an imperfect stamping, a little distressed script stamping. And just dotting a little bit around the page as well. I get a bit carried away with this sometimes. I have to make myself stop. Otherwise I could just keep adding little bits all over the place and then it would become too much. And that's where I'm going to stop with the stamping. And my last finishing touch is I've got these little shape sprinkles from Doodlebug, and I'm going to add those hearts in. And once those are in place, that's my layout finished. I really hope that you will join us on our hop and pop round and see all of the lovely layouts created by my fellow very talented scrapbookers. And congratulations, and of course, to Rebecca on the success of her YouTube channel. Oh, no, I'd forgotten. I'll do another little bit. Going to add some splatters. Just mixing a couple of colours of ink sprays because that yellow is really quite vibrant. So I didn't want it to be that quite that bright. So adding some splatters, and that is definitely it. Adding the splatters is my last finishing touch. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you here again soon, and enjoy our hop. Bye.